We're looking at some more circle stuff and specifically equations of a circle. So the other day we took a look at that equation of a circle where we had the x minus h squared plus the y minus k squared equals the r squared with center h and k and the radius r. Today we're looking at a different general formula. And this is the general formula where it's not in that center radius form, right? So here's the equation of the circle. It's very easy for you to pick out the center and the radius. This is the general form of the equation of a circle where it's not as easy. So here they're asking you to figure out the center and the radius, determine the center and the radius. So for that, we have a little checklist. And if you did the homework yesterday, you saw that I put an algebra thing in there, right? And the algebra thing was factor by completing the square. And that's what you need to do when you're doing the general form of a circle here and trying to find the center and the radius. So we've got group the x stuff together, group the y stuff together, move the constant term to the right side. If there's any number multiplying x squared, divide that from all terms. Factor by completing the square with the x stuff, and then factor by completing the square with the y stuff. So what does all this mean? Well, let's take a look, right? Let's actually do this problem. So let's group all the x stuff together. So our x stuff is x squared plus 6x. Our y stuff, right? Our y stuff, things that are y, is y squared plus 8y. And then it says move the constant to the right side. Well, there's only one constant here. It's 12. The way I move it is it's a positive 12, so I got to subtract 12 to the other side. So I'm going to have all that stuff equal to negative 12. If there's a number multiplying x squared or y squared, right, we're going to divide out, but there's not. So we can just forget about this for right now. Now we want to factor by completing the square with the x stuff. So if you think about it, right, our x stuff is x squared plus 6x, right? Completing the square, if you remember from last night's homework, you need to find a new c value, right? And it's equal to negative 12. Okay, so how do you find that c value? Well, you do b divided by 2, right? 6 divided by 2 squared. And 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9, so we add a 9 to this side. But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side, so we add a 9 here as well. Okay, so now we've taken care of one piece of this problem here. So the next piece, right, we've got to factor with the y stuff, right? So the y stuff here was y squared plus 8y plus we don't have a c value, right? We got rid of that constant equals, I'm going to combine these things later, but we'll write them like this for now. Negative 12 plus 9, okay? Plus 9, because that's what we had before. So how are we getting this? Again, we're doing our b value divided by 2, 8 divided by 2 squared, right? 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So we will also be adding a 16 to this side because what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So when you're done, this is what we have on one side. When you're done, this is what we have on one side. Let me extend this page a little bit. Or not. We have x squared plus 6x plus 9, right? This is my x stuff, plus my y stuff, y squared plus 8y, plus 16 equals to all of this together, right? Negative 12 plus 9 plus 16, negative 12 plus 9, negative 12 plus 9 plus 16 is equal to 13, right? So we were left with 13 on this side. And now this looks kind of confusing, but remember, we want it to look like this, right? And we know that now that we've done this, we can actually factor these pieces here, right? So think about what things multiply to 9 and add to 6. Well, positive 3 and positive 3 add to 6 and multiply to 9, right? And then we're going to do the same thing for the y's, right? What multiplies to 16 and adds to 8? Well, positive 4 and positive 4. Now, if you notice here, those are the same terms, right? So if I said something to you, well, how would you rewrite 4 times 4? You would say that's equal to 4 squared, right? It's the same deal here, right? It's the same deal here. So in this case, we can just rewrite it like this. Can I extend this page anymore? Let's see. No. Okay. There we go. We can rewrite it like this. We can do x plus 3 squared, right? Plus y plus 4 squared equals 13. And this thing here is the equation of a circle, right? It says, well, what's the center and what's the radius? We just made it look exactly like this equation here, right? So we know that my center is negative 3, negative 4, and my radius, since this is r squared, my radius is going to be equal to the square root of 13. And that's how you factor by completing the square within this equation of a circle, right? So again, right, this is the general form for equation of the circle. If you follow this checklist, you're going to be fine, right? Group the x stuff together, right? Group the y stuff together, move the constant to the right side, and then factor by completing the square for each of those parts, which is an Algebra 1 skill which you guys can do. Okay, so again, group the x stuff, group the y stuff, get those constants to the other side, and then you're just doing completing the square. And you want it to look like this, where we have an x plus or minus something, a y plus or minus something, both of those terms squared, and just a constant on the other side. And that gives you your center radius form, where it's super easy to figure out what the center of the circle is and what the radius of the circle is. All right, and that's it. All right, so like and subscribe, and thanks for tuning in.